the Alaska Club, Midtown Anchorage. My name is Dave Vincent. The race for 8 is on. Alongside Dave Fink, we have referee Shorty Ruiz capturing this great one as we listen to the announcement right now here in Anchorage.
And Abraham Montijo from Tucson, Arizona.
You see Emmett Peixoto there with his hands together, and Abraham Montijo from Tucson. Emmett living in Watsonville, California at the moment.
Actually planning on moving to Berkeley here, back where he graduated from college.
First it is.
Here we go with that first serve. This is the men's round of 16. Abraham has really elevated his game, but so has Emmett Peixoto. We're going to see a clash here between two get artists, and this one very well could go an hour long or more in this one-game format to 25, win by 2.
Dave, these guys sparred against one another in Tucson before the Tucson race stop, and I remember you texting me, Dave, that Abraham Montijo actually won that sparring match. Now, of course, that's practice. These guys have played in tournaments. In fact, conquered in 2010, where Emmett won very easily. 2009.
0-0.
Score here is 0-0.
Oh, it's a great serve from Abraham.
1-0.
And Abraham follows off a perfect serve with just a terrible serve.
But look at that get from Abraham. He's going to keep this rally alive right now, and he's still in the driver's seat. Emmett Peixoto has that little shovel pass. But that's what we're going to get with these guys, 2 retrievers. Emmett plays a little bit more steady and methodical, but Abraham's got it too.
Well, Emmett's also a slow starter. Emmett, maybe, Dave, will be changing his nickname from the Rock to the Ghost.
2-0.
You just don't even see this guy, and all of a sudden he appears out of nowhere, plays, and then you don't see him again.
A little bit of screen there, no call from the referee.
Emmett said, hey, I came to these events last year, didn't have much expectations and came to have fun, but now I feel like I'm healthy. I can win these events. I want to come and just be as serious as I can.
Little screen there, no call from the referee. These guys playing really close to each other up front. Someone's going to get tired here, Dave.
This is what Emmett likes to do early in matches, is just wear you out. He just puts a lot of pressure on you, runs you from front to back and side to side, and then when he senses that you're a little bit winded, he starts going for those kills, and he's got great kills with both hands.
Well, that's one of the things here, is that you could be in the best shape of your life, and just 1 or 2 of these 40-shot rallies, and all of a sudden you're on the ropes. That's why you have to learn those fish shots to the ceiling and how to play a little bit of defense so you can catch your breath. Dave, I know you've never hit a ceiling shot in your life, but some of these older players will slow it down a little bit so they can breathe. And that's a nice little corner kill from Abraham Montijo. A round of applause from the crowd, who really supports Abraham up here. They like him. He spent the summer up here this last year. So he's a kind of a no, Abraham came up as well, as Ashley Moeller spent a few weeks up here. Anchorage is very pro Tucson, Arizona residents.
Well, Dave, our host has a home in Arizona as well, so it's very much a shared community almost.
I only live in states that begin with the letter A, our host said. He also said, please quit talking to my wife like that. But that was a different subject altogether.
Emmett's doing a lot of work, Dave, with his personal coach, Gary Machart. Gary actually has his doctorate, Dave, in handball coaching and history. It was a double dissertation.
0-2.
Dave. I mean, you think getting 1 PhD is hard. Try doubling up. And that's a beautiful revolving door kill from Abraham. A lot of snap there. But Emmett says, you know, Gary and I go in the court.
2-0.
And obviously we can't spar against one another, but he goes in there, he shows me little tricks that are helping me with my serve, with my reverse, also with letting the ball drop with my right hand off the back wall, and refining my new swing with my right arm. And that's a very small window for Abraham to hit that kill shot into the right corner, but Dave, he finds it. Emmett knows he's going to the right corner, but Abraham threads the needle and finds the bottom brick.
Well, much like Gary Machart and Emmett Peixoto,
second serve.
You know, Mickey was not a better fighter than Rocky Balboa, but he was able to give him motivation and advice.
Well, Mickey actually had a shot at the middleweight championship, but a guy went in there with nails in his gloves and busted up his whole face, so we'll never know.
And Emmett gets that ball deep in the backcourt as Abraham slides it into the ground.
0-3.
0 serves 3. The winner of this one is going to play Luis Moreno, and if it were Abraham Montijo to go on, he'd play his old sparring partner in Tucson. And there's a delayed dive right there. First point for Emmett Peixoto. No towel wipe from these two players.
Well, we haven't seen Luis Moreno yet on the webcast day, but just seeing him here on the grounds, he looks like a different specimen than the last time I saw him. He put on about 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. He really looks fit, and he looks ready to dominate. This is definitely a tricky part of the draw here.
Well, you know, I'm in this bracket. I played Luis earlier today, and after we got done playing, he said, "You want to play another one?"
Point.
And he's serious.
Yeah.
He didn't want to just play one game. He wanted to go in there and play another one, and that tells you that Luis Moreno is
4-1.
just itching to play handball right now. He also said that he needs a payday. I haven't had a payday from the WPH in quite some time. And I said, well, you have to go to work. You know, you can't get a payday unless you go to work. Some employees that works for, but not all employees.
Oh, I see. Okay.
1-4.
Incidentally, Luis Moreno and I were tied at 17 earlier today.
Wow.
Going to 25, and I was playing good ball, and he was playing good ball. And then he did that thing that he does where he decided that he didn't want to play handball anymore with me for that game and rattled off 8 straight aces.
Well, that's a shot that Abraham needs to eliminate, is that overhand spike into the right corner. But Dave, you actually weren't going to play that match. Luis Moreno had to talk you into playing. You were just going to forfeit. He was begging you to play. He wanted to get on the court, and then after you finished, he wanted to play another game.
Well, I was up 17 to 16, and I was thinking to myself, I actually can take this if I get hot on a serve.
You could Celesto this.
Oof, it was, and he started thinking about it too. The crowd was up there watching, and that kind of helped him out. And there was a little slide pass, and no call from the ref, and the side out. Emmett Peixoto goes back to the returner circle.
4-1.
Abraham rocked the rock right there. He moved him side to side there. That's what Emmett does to his opponents.
Well, I see it. Abraham Montijo's game is really elevated, and he plays a lot like a very young Emmett Peixoto, where it's a lot of power and a lot of retrieving. That was a miss right there. It's called the announcer's curse.
Well, Abe has had a couple of opportunities, and he's put a couple shots in the floor. He could have built a bigger lead here. I believe Emmett is on the scoreboard here. I think
1-4.
has 1 point, not 0. Unfortunately for Linda, Dave, who's already put in 9 hours today, she was just fined $35 for a scoreboard mistake. So a lot of that hard work, Dave, will be going right back into the Tahiti Fund. And unfortunately, Dave, she doesn't even get to enjoy the reaps of the that she'll sow. I'm not sure if I used that properly. I know I didn't, actually. I'll just admit it.
Well, you had the right words. It was just not in the right order.
Okay.
3-4.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot from Abraham. But how does Emmett get down that low and react that quickly? A lot of guys, Dave, maybe dive in and scoop that ball back up.
4-4.
Emmett's down to knee level and flat rolls a shot that I thought was a flat rollout from Abraham. And you see that puts pressure on Abraham's next shot, knowing he's got to be a little bit finer. You see Abraham takes that with his right hand. A lot of guys, Dave, struggle to take that shot with their right hand as it hits the back wall, side wall.
4-5.
We've seen some really exciting handball here in the last match, and now thus far here in the first match. We had a guy have a mental breakdown in the first match.
Side out.
Said that he's done with handball for the year.
5-4.
John Iglesias. So I said, well,
he will be fined. He will be fined if he comes back into the game. So that's a new rule. You say if you retire and you come back in, it's a buyback.
Yeah.
So that's a 500 to the Tahiti Fund as well.
So that he actually goes from getting
6-4.
500 for Denver to losing 500. So that's a $1,000 difference just in locker room chatter. You know, locker room chatter can be expensive, as we find out.
Point.
Emmett pushing Abraham to the backcourt there.
Now, let me ask you about
7-4.
Nadi, because Nadi announced his retirement and then came back, but he did sit out 2 events. So does that mean that he's not fined? Or
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a two. It's a,
okay.
a 2-event minimum.
Okay. So is the fine greater if you come back to the very next event as opposed to sitting out 1 event, or is it still the same fine?
It's the same fine.
Okay.
Abraham looks back to see where Emmett's at, pushes Emmett. Emmett's so casual about popping that ball to the back wall.
And Abraham's got to feel like, what do I have to do to win a rally here? I mean, I'm hitting these great kill shots, and finally he hits a scoop 2-wall pass that just dies
4-7.
off the back wall. Abraham led 4-1.
Hold it.
Oh, there's a little congestion there. I know Emmett looks up at the referee, but I think it was the right call. Dave, here we are in Alaska, Anchorage, where the scenery is unbelievable. It's been snowing since we've been here, and
Yeah.
it's the elevation 0.
4-7.
Here in winter, all the night parties that you throw go on
Start.
for months because there's no sun.
Second serve.
That's a great second serve from Abe. He's got the setup.
Side out.
And normally, Dave, that shot works, driving the ball right at your opponent's feet to their offhand, but not with
7-4.
Emmett.
Point.
Just an amazing shot there from Emmett. Abraham tries to hit a neutralizing
8-4.
shot. Emmett hits a spike tomahawk fist rollout. And Abraham goes for the
Point.
same shot there, kind of like, I can do what you can do, but he couldn't right there.
9-4.
Emmett now has scored 8 consecutive points.
Hold it, hold it.
And Dave, Abraham is an emotional player. How much do you
9-4.
think that helps him and hurts him here at this pro level?
Well, if he feels disrespected, he is unbelievably good. So it wouldn't take much for him if he felt that Emmett was cheating or the referee cheated him. Then you see Abraham light up. Now, plays like that would normally motivate a player, but with Abraham, that doesn't really work. You almost need to, somebody needs to disrespect him somehow.
4-9.
If Emmett would have said, I thought that was a double bounce, then you would have seen Abraham take it up a notch. And I think that if Abraham were able to dig into that, he would be a top player. Much the way that Paul Brady knows how to dig into it, immediately. But Abraham's all out of sorts here. That ball might have made it. Abraham's
I don't think he
also
was going to make it.
breathing very hard. Abraham's not going to argue.
So I don't think this will be something that he feels
Point.
disrespected
No,
about.
you didn't see that.
10-4.
I think he knew. It's almost like he's given Emmett these last few points here.
Well, he's not handling the lob serve very well. Hasn't really found a solution. You know, Dave, I know I've heard you in the past say if you're able to engage in these 10, 20 shot rallies with guys, you're right there in the match. But I feel like the majority of these 10, 20 shot rallies are being dominated by Emmett, where he's controlling the front court.
4-10.
Abraham's just pretty much running side to side until Emmett finally decides to put the rally to an end.
Abraham's in the driver's seat here. Powers it. Emmett just gets a hand back on it. Emmett.
That's a good
Point.
shot there from Abraham.
Abraham now gets another point.
5-10.
The score is not really indicative of how well the
Point.
players are playing, although Abraham's now within 4. But it seems like it should be tied at this point.
6-10.
But like you're saying, Emmett Peixoto is winning those rallies.
Side out.
You see Abraham really breathing tough right now through his mouth.
10-6.
His mouth wide open there. Little congestion, no call from the referee. Emmett's in the driver's seat. He's going to push Abraham back to back, side to side. Emmett just kind of glides around the court. If his nickname wasn't The Rock, we should rename it to The Glide, because he's just able to float around. Nice dive right there from Emmett. A shovel, from Abraham. This
And
could
that's
be
frustrating. We've got your opponent totally out of position, overhit.
Abraham's really tired right now, Dave. And there's going to be a timeout here. It has to be a timeout call.
Side out.
And for guys, Dave, that think that a 25-point game isn't as grueling as a 21 match.
Take him off. Go ahead.
Wow, referee giving him that
2 minutes.
2-minute break, and I almost somewhat tend to disagree with that. But both of these guys need it, and I think for the fans too, there's been some intense rallies here. They're really experiencing some great handball here in Anchorage, Alaska. We are at the Alaska Club. Experience the difference. More locations, more classes, more family options, more fitness experts, more results offering fitness, racket sports, handball, spa memberships. The Alaska Club. You can find them online. The way fitness should be. In fact, we've had our share of workouts already, Dave, here at the Alaska Club. It is a pretty nice facility. It's been around for about 50 years. They've remodeled the complex, and they really have bent over backwards for us to help out the pro players this weekend, coming in from all around the United States and Ireland, with Charlie Shanks, also one of the elite players. Talk about Charlie. Dave, you had him in the booth in the last match, and I'm sure you were able to get some good verbiage from him.
Yeah.
What does it mean for a guy that's from Ireland who doesn't really come up from a system that has rankings? What does it mean for him to come to the United States and get a ranking?
Well, Charlie's one of these guys that really downplays all of his accomplishments. You won't ever hear him pounding on his chest or, boasting about himself, and he's got plenty of reason to do so. But he said, I'm just interested in winning tournaments. I've congratulated him a number of times, and including last night at dinner where we had about 20 people that were applauding for him. But he says, I'm not the number one player in the world, meaning that maybe Paul Brady is. I said, we can't rank people that don't show up at these events. So you are our number one player should you win both of your matches tomorrow. His next match will be against Anthony Celeste. He'll be a major favorite there. But, Dave, I can only imagine what it feels like to be ranked number one in the world at your respective craft. There's just so few people that have ever had that experience or ever had that feeling. And I would think that tonight, Dave, maybe it'll sink in. Maybe it'll sink in after this event's over, that Charlie Shanks will go home with his beautiful fiancée, Mary, and say, I'm the number one player in this sport that I've dedicated my life to. And Dave, talking to Charlie yesterday, he's very forthcoming if you talk to him, but he's not going to really give you much unless you do. He's got twin brothers that are older than him, Dave. He's got 2 or 3 brothers that are younger than him. He's got 3 sisters. He's got a whole family that's supporting and watching every match. They also are handball players. And Dave, you know that it's going to mean a lot to them to see their brother and their hero as one of the top, or the top player in the world.
Boy, that ball had a bad bounce off the back wall. Sorry to interrupt you. This is just a fun match to watch. It might seem sloppy to some players, but that's the style these guys have, Dave, that they just really want to wear each other out. Abraham plays that wear-out style of game. Emmett's lived off of it for his whole career.
Short.
Emmett serving at 10-6.
Second serve. Side out. 6-10.
Emmett's game just a little bit more refined than Abraham's. Abraham is, Dave, kind of a mix, as you said, between Emmett, but also Luis Moreno and Sean Lenning, who he sparred with and looked up to for so many years. Emmett has been more of a defensive-minded and retrieving player. He's modeled his game after guys like Dave Chapman and Tony Healy, and he hasn't really tried to cross over into that ground and pound style. So if Abraham wants to play this kind of style, I think he'll need to improve his shot selection just a little bit. We've seen Abraham try and drive overhand shots into that right corner from chest height a number of times. And those are shots that won't work against guys like Emmett, Peixoto, or the other top players.
Well, you can see in that last rally that Abraham was putting out all of the effort there. He hit 4 straight balls, and Emmett only had to take 1 step out of those 4 straight balls. So he's hitting everything that's clipping a corner and coming out toward the middle. Now, it's easier said than done sitting behind a monitor here in an air-conditioned room, but you have to take shots like that. Beautiful shot right there from Abraham Montijo in the right corner, and gets a round of applause from the local crowd here. But that's what Abraham's going to have to do. Take the opportunity that you have to go for the kill and actually go for it. Quit hitting balls down the middle of the court.
Short.
Very impressed with Abraham's game.
Short.
But he still needs to step it up if he's going to compete with a guy like Emmett, which I think he can.
Well, there's a difference between competing and winning.
Side out.
It's one thing to go in there and make your guy work, but it's another thing, Dave, to
11-6.
win these matches. And Abraham's always a guy that's going to
Short.
take a lot of effort
Second
for
serve.
any of these top players to defeat. Can he take that next step and be more than just a tough competitor?
Point. $12-6.
And that hits Emmett in the back of the head. You could hear that, Dave.
Yeah, I heard that.
You got a warning.
There's-
Emmett, give you a warning on that. All right.
What's the warning for? I'm confused here.
Really don't know, but Shorty said that very seriously. That was not a joke. I think he was warning him that he'll have to move out of the way a little bit more there.
No,
Yeah.
we'll get an explanation here at halftime from the referee. There he is. Shorty Ruiz takes this very serious.
12-6.
He's also got family members who will have a stern talking with Emmett after this match.
Side out.
We'll be seeing Dave Shorty Ruiz throughout all 12
6-12.
months of this great 2013 year, because he'll be competing in all of the big ball stops as well. A lot of times we see these guys for half the year and then we see a different group. But Shorty is that guy that we see.
Dave, this ball was short, and I think
Side out.
Abraham should appeal it.
Well, I don't think we have line judges here, Dave.
12-6.
Abraham lifted his hand after the serve. That's another short ball
I
not
agree
called.
with you.
The one Abraham served was much shorter than that. But from that referee's standpoint, it's very hard to see. I don't know if you've reffed a match here yet, but you will after your next round.
I actually have ref.
Is it tough to see you over that line?
It can be, yeah, depending on the body position of the server. And Dave, watching Emmett now, you watched him for a number of
Yeah.
years.
Point.
Where do you compare his game to when Emmett was at his best, circa 2006, 7, and 8?
Well, that Emmett would
13-6.
would
Is that
defeat
timeout?
this Emmett,
Timeout.
but
A minute.
they're getting closer in scores now, I believe. There is going to be a timeout here. Love to hear from Shorty Ruiz and his explanation of what that warning was, but of course he can't hear us, but I'd love for him to turn his microphone on and have him say exactly what that warning was, but certainly he can give us an analysis of that warning. I don't think he was playing around, Dave. I think there was something that happened after Emmett got hit. I think what he did was Emmett threw the ball at Abraham, is my guess. I just happened to look away from the screen.
Okay.
And we'll have Shorty Ruiz right now quickly give us an explanation of what that warning was.
The warning was about, it was a mishit from Abraham, hit Emmett on his face, eye guards, and he cursed at him. So it's professional sport, accidents happen in the sport, so you shouldn't, it could have just caused any other situation. So,
Yeah,
so anything.
That's a great call from
Yes, excellent.
Shorty. He gave us a great explanation there. He said, this is a professional sport, but it wasn't really about the cursing. It's about what it could cause after that. Abraham then could get, retaliate with something back,
10
and
seconds.
that it can escalate into something worse. So that was a good, I believe, warning from Shorty Ruiz. I mean, now I've seen Shorty out on a big ball 3-wall court. You reap what you sow, but
13-6.
No.
Well,
nonetheless.
Shorty really knows how to acclimate himself to the environment.
Short.
He knows that the culture is a little bit different in that big ball 3-wall game, and he knows just how to act
Second serve.
in both places. And that's I think, a testimony to how smart he is. It takes a very intelligent person, Dave, to understand how to conduct yourself in different situations.
Point.
Emmett was out of that rally and got back in and scored the 14th point. Unbelievable.
14-6.
Sounded like that ball might have broken, Dave. I also thought it was short.
Well, this is paneled walls here, and I believe it hit one of those air pockets.
And you see
Halftime.
Abraham, Dave, hits that right corner again.
15-6.
That opens up the court for Emmett. Emmett takes one
Serve
step
on
to his
his
left
wing.
and has an easy kill shot straight down the left wall with his best shot, which is his left hand. Abraham continues to go for that right corner. Dave, I know you know as a player, and I do as well, you get into these bad habits. You tell yourself not to go for these low percentage shots, but yet you can't help yourself when it really comes down to it. You can't make that split-second change in your mind, because a lot of times, Dave, you play in practice, and you go for these kind of silly shots, and you're a little bit lackadaisical, and it carries over into your pro matches, and that's what's happened here with Abraham.
Well, you've got a good analysis of what you're seeing here on the court with these two players compared to the round prior with Anthony Celestino and Chip Morales. Do you see sort of the same sort of mixture between the two, where the styles are somewhat the same or contrasting? Or
well, there's no denying that Emmett is at least one level above all three of those guys. I think you put Chip, Abraham, and Anthony kind of all in that same bracket. They're all sort of 10 through 15 guys, 10 through 16 guys. And Emmett is one of these elite players that's, right now ranked in the top 8, and he's, I believe, on his way to the top 5. And there's a big difference there. It doesn't matter what sport you're talking about. You've got the big four in tennis that are a level above everyone else. And, you see that in all the sports. And that's the difference. I mean, these guys may play somewhat similarly to Emmett. They may have similar shots, similar legs, ability to track balls down. But, over the long run, Emmett's more consistent. He's got better kill shots. He's more refined with his shot making. He's able to end rallies better with both hands. And he's just a little bit better in every area of the game. And he's also fitter.
Interesting thing about Emmett is that he has big game experience. He's at 17, 18, 19, 20, his early 20s. He was in the finals of a lot of majors, made it to the semis a lot of major tournaments. He is no stranger to these cameras. He's played Paul Brady in semifinals. He's played in final tournaments as well. And, I think that big game experience for a guy like Emmett just comes in here with just so much confidence. It's like watching Nadi Alvarado play in his early rounds. Emmett comes in and he already knows that he has that advantage, and therefore he's more professional in that sense that he knows exactly what he needs to do. So that's what you're up against. You might have equal ability as a guy like Emmett. Like I believe that Abraham Montijo touches that ability that Emmett has, especially get ability. He has a shot-making ability, but he doesn't have that ability to say, I've made it to the semifinals of 12 straight tournaments. I've made it to the finals of 4 straight. I've won 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. I think one year he won about 6 pro stops. In 2 seasons between 2005 and 6, he won 6 or 7 pro stops. That's something Abraham hasn't done yet. So you look at that experience from Emmett Peixoto, and he comes in with just a little different swagger. He knows when to pour it on. He knows when to let down. You saw after that last timeout that Abraham took at about 13, Emmett came back in and was about a level above where he was at prior. So he knew that he wanted to come in and close this one out. And we'll see if he has that energy to take off here in the second half. You're watching the Race for 8 in beautiful Anchorage, Alaska, the place where you design your Halloween costumes to fit over your snowsuit.
Dave, you talk about Emmett, having maybe similar skills, but just having that match experience, playing Paul Brady in the semifinals of big events, winning pro stops, and playing all the top players over all these years, Dave, has been what has elevated Emmett. A guy like Abraham has never been in that big spotlight before. He hasn't been in semifinals or played against these top players with the bright lights in the biggest events. I'm in. And Emmett, Dave, is also a prodigy of sorts. I mean, this is a guy that earned his pro status at 17, 18 years old, trained by Dave Chapman, now trained by Dr. Machart.
This would be a big setup for Abraham. He has to execute. He doesn't. Emmett gets it. Abraham has another opportunity, goes for the corner, gets it, and there's a point for Montijo.
Well, that was a beautiful left corner kill there from Abraham, but Abraham needs to get more space
7-15.
between himself and the ball when he's moving himself out to the left to hit those kill shot attempts with his right hand. Ball gets a little bit tight to his body, and he's not able to really release and fire like he'd like to.
Hold it.
Probably should have been an avoidable there, Dave.
Can't walk up on your shot like that, Emmett. Huh?
If he's going to say you can't walk between his shot, that really should have been an avoidable.
Well, he might have called it.
No, he only called a hinder there.
7-15.
Well, we do see that a lot, Dave, when the referee makes the right call by stopping the play, but the wrong call. That ball skip in? Yes, it did.
And Abraham the ball's too far out in front of him there, Dave. He needs to move up
15-7.
close to that ball. When you're making contact with the ball out in front of your front foot, you're going to skip the ball or lift it. Very difficult to roll the ball out when the ball's that far in front of your front foot.
But see, that's the reason why Emmett comes in there and runs his opponents around early on and makes these 40-shot rallies, and that wicked left-handed kill shot from Emmett. But see, he comes in and set the pace by these 40-shot rallies, and all of a sudden when you really need to plant your feet and make the right shot, you can't. They feel like jello. And look at Emmett. He actually looks strong right now.
Well, Abe went the wrong way on that tomahawk corner kill.
17-7.
Emmett telling me that he's been training harder than he's trained in 5 years, getting ready for this second half of the race season. Remember, Dave, Emmett defeated Charlie Shanks in Tucson, one of only 2 guys to defeat Charlie this season, the other guy being Paul Brady. So Emmett's
18-7.
demonstrated already that he is back. Really interesting matchup, Dave, later today if Emmett does come through here, taking on Luis Moreno, who looks like the guy that we saw last year, just
19-7.
rolling through the entire field, stop after stop, won 5 out of 8 events.
Point.
And Dave, Emmett has not defeated Luis Moreno since 2009.
27. Short. Second serve. Side out. $7.20.
Abraham is not mixing up his serve, Davis. Hit almost every serve straight down the right with the same natural, and Emmett's just waiting on it. It's not going to be an effective serve. You can throw a 100-mile-per-hour fastball, Dave, but if you throw it every time and it doesn't have movement, it's not going to be effective.
Oh, there's a little contact right there. I don't know if the referee saw it, but Emmett did trip over.
Abe gave it to him there. Abe knew.
Emmett would have gotten his hand on that, but there was contact. Great camera work from Jason Rutherford and our director, Linda Manning. You can hook up with their services by contacting us at WePlayHandball.com. If you like this broadcast that you're watching now and you want to have your event on television, get a hold of us at WePlayHandball@CS.com. WePlayHandball@C as in cat, S as in Sam.com.
$27.
I really like the clarity of this court here and the angles from our camera.
Well, you know, Dave, a lot of people think that
720.
the best matches to film are with glass side walls and glass back walls, but in my opinion, doesn't provide the right contrast to see the ball. This is
820.
One of the best courts we've seen to film on. If it had a front wall camera, it would be even better.
Yeah, it's really just a great setup here. We do need to clean the back wall, but so clear. Camera crew doing a great job. Emmett off balance there, and Abraham Montijo gets a point.
920. Short.
This is the point in the match, Dave, where Emmett has to decide
Second
how
serve.
much do I want to put into finishing this match off, knowing that I'm going to have another match later today. At the same time, you want to let Abraham back in this match.
Oh, nice get right there from Abraham. That was beautiful. We can get a replay after this is over. And the crowd appreciates it. That was just a great series between those two. I thought Abraham's
29.
prior hit was off of the butt of his hand and maybe even a wrist ball, but then that one right there was just truly unbelievable. Here's the replay, Dave, brought to you by Pima Medical Institute of that whole last rally. Abraham Montijo put the pressure on Emmett. Right there is the ball that I thought might have been a wrist ball, but watch this right here. Flip of the backhand goes onto the highlight reel, and then that rally ends right there with a beautiful kill shot from Emma Peixoto as we go back into the court here in Anchorage, Alaska at the Alaska Club Midtown.
Abraham needs a few of those to climb back into the match. Dave,
9:20.
I'm a believer that dropping the ball and hitting it to yourself as a means of practicing or warming up is
Nobody appeal.
wholly ineffective.
No line judges.
Not a
Point.
situation you'll ever have in a match. This isn't like golf where you can just
Think it was
put the
short?
ball on a tee.
All right. Second serve.
And Abraham calls that ace a short serve.
I'm surprised there are no line judges here. That'd be like not having referees or umpires in a baseball game. Line judges at Wimbledon.
Well, I think you mean field umps in baseball.
Point.
Referee got a chuckle out of that. Abraham
10:20.
Montijo, another point.
Set out. 20:10.
Dave, we just got word that Sean Linning, for the first tournament in his last two, got out of the first round. He played
Barely, though.
Brandon Charisma, the 16th
Point.
seed, who scored 21 out of 25, almost took Sean Linning down in that opening
21-10.
round in back-to-back tournaments.
Short.
Dave.
It's a
Second serve.
shocking result. I'm not sure, Dave, what's going through Sean's mind right now. I know he's not playing a lot of handball between tournaments. He's been on
Set
the
out.
coast in Oregon, but we've seen Sean in the past come in and dominate, having not played between
10:21.
events. Maybe his head just not in the game right now.
Point.
I talked to him yesterday, and he was very jovial. Just felt like, you know, I'm not quite there yet on turning the page
11:21.
and being focused, but this might be the tournament that I do that. And he just seemed to have such a really good outlook. I think that would have all gone away if he would have lost today against
Hold it.
the best player in Anchorage, Brandon Charisma.
I thought Albert Shakasta
11:21.
became the best player in Anchorage by virtue of qualifying here.
That's probably arguably
Well, I
the
go by
best way to look at it.
rankings, so.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I think that would have been changed after a
that's
Charisma win
true.
against
Side out.
Lenny.
That's true.
You still got 2 timeouts. You want one? 21:11.
Abraham, Dave, will be back on the court should he lose this match in the 9 through 14 playoffs later today. It's a smart shot from
Point.
Emmett. Takes just enough off of that one-wall pass to keep it off the
Got a
back
minute.
wall.
A little bit too close.
There is a timeout being called right now. We're also going to take a timeout. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. You stick around at racefreight.com.
At Shelters, you'll discover healthy and loving animals just waiting to become a part of your family. Why wait? You can make a difference in the life of an animal. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person and adopt your new best friend today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Hello, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. Our non-toxic, biodegradable, all-purpose cleaner works great for cleaning. Thank you. Non-toxic, biodegradable, Simple Green. It's great for cleaning.
For 20 years, the Inner City Handball Association has educated, mentored, and served young people through handball. Young people that participate in the Inner City Handball Association programs have a high graduation rate from high school and continue on to college. Inner City Handball teams are good athletes, good students, and good ambassadors for the sport of handball. We need your help to continue our work. Inner City Handball Association is a registered 501c3 tax-exempt charity. Please donate today. Thank you.
Back to the court here, and the action just kicking back with Emmett Peixoto in the lead, and he gets another beautiful left-handed front wall kill shot there. 23 serves 11, 2 points away from advancing to the quarterfinals again as Emmett Peixoto. It was a nice return of serve from Abraham Montijo. Now it's game point. This is match point. And there it is. Emmett Peixoto takes down Abraham Montijo. That puts Abraham into the playoffs and puts Emmett Peixoto into the quarterfinals. We'll have another match coming up right around the corner. We want you to stay close. For Dave Fink, Linda Manning, and Jason Rutherford, my name is Dave Vincent. We'll have another one in about 10 minutes or so. Stick with us here at racefor8.com.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
It's Timothy Green's first day at school.
What's in there? He's about to fall over.
Anything he might need. There's a box of tissues on the bottom and some Band-Aids. There's a whole first aid kit, actually.
Mom, I can handle it from here.
You don't have to be perfect.
Have a great day.
That's too much pressure.
Have the day you have.
To be a perfect parent.
There are 2 people in the world who want you more than anything. They'll make some mistakes, but they will love you more than you can ever imagine.
There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.